The courtroom was silent, so silent that the hum of the overhead lights seemed deafening. The old oak benches were filled with reporters, townsfolk, and law students eager to witness Judge Nathan Cole's latest verdict. Known for his unflinching sense of justice and military discipline, Nathan had built a reputation for being incorruptible. But that day, as the bailiff announced the next case, something inside him twisted. Case 4527, State vs. Emma Davis. Nathan's pen froze mid-note. The name struck him like a hammer to the chest. He looked up, eyes narrowing as a woman in handcuffs was led to the defendant's table. When she lifted her head, his heart almost stopped. It was Emma, his Emma, the girl who used to race him to the lake every summer. The one who used to patch up his scraped knees and laugh until she cried. His childhood best friend, the one he'd lost touch with after high school, after his mother died, after he enlisted and went to war. She looked nothing like the bright, wild-haired girl he remembered. Her once golden hair was dull, her face pale, and her eyes, those same eyes that used to light up the world, were filled with fear and shame. Nathan leaned back in his chair, hiding the tremor in his hand. "Proceed," he said, his voice steady but his pulse racing. The prosecutor, a sharp young man named Green, stood. "Your Honor, the defendant is charged with armed robbery and assault of a store clerk. Evidence places her at the scene, and the victim has positively identified her." Nathan's jaw tightened. Armed robbery, Emma, impossible. He forced himself to remain composed, flipping through the case file as Green presented the evidence. But the more Nathan read, the more uneasy he became. Surveillance footage showed a hooded figure who vaguely matched Emma's frame, but the face was blurred. The fingerprints were partial. The witness, a clerk who had been injured, had identified Emma under poor lighting conditions. It was flimsy, too flimsy. Still, the police report said Emma had been found 2 blocks away with a stolen wallet in her possession. That wallet, however, belonged to the real suspect, her boyfriend, apparently. Nathan exhaled slowly. His training in Afghanistan had taught him to read between lines, to sense when something didn't add up. And this case reeked of manipulation. When the prosecution finished, Nathan glanced at Emma. Her court-appointed lawyer looked uninterested, flipping lazily through notes. Emma's eyes met Nathan's for a brief second. They both froze. Recognition flashed. Shock. Then a flicker of something else. Hope. Court adjourned early that day. That night, Nathan sat alone in his office, staring at Emma's mugshot on his screen. He shouldn't have cared. Judges weren't supposed to feel personal attachment. But memories kept flooding back. The way she used to sneak sandwiches from her house to feed him when his father drank away their food money. The way she'd been his only real family before he joined the Marines. He thought he'd buried that part of his life long ago. But seeing her now, broken, accused, and alone, unearthed everything he'd fought to forget. The next morning, he arrived early, pulling her case file again. There was one detail that caught his attention. The arresting officer's name, Detective Mark Laird. Nathan knew that name. Laird had a history of cutting corners for easy arrests. When the court reconvened, Nathan watched Emma's lawyer stumble through the defense. "My client maintains her innocence," the man muttered. "She claims she was coerced by her boyfriend." The prosecutor smirked. A convenient excuse. The boyfriend, however, is nowhere to be found. Nathan leaned forward. "Does the defense have any evidence of coercion?" The lawyer hesitated. "No, Your Honor." Emma finally spoke, her voice trembling. He made me do it. Said if I didn't drive the car, he'd hurt me. My daughter was home alone. I didn't know what to do." "Daughter." Nathan's chest tightened again. "How old is your daughter, Ms. Davis?" he asked. 8, she whispered. "Her name is Lily." For a second, Nathan couldn't breathe. 8 years old, about the same age as his son, Ethan. "Where is she now?" Emma's eyes welled with tears. "With a neighbor. I don't know if she's okay." The courtroom murmured softly. Nathan quickly called for order, but inside, something in him broke. That night, after hours, Nathan pulled up every report connected to Emma's case. He found inconsistencies. The stolen wallet's chain of custody was incomplete. The convenience store's security footage had a 10-minute gap, right during the robbery. The store clerk's description changed between statements. And Laird's name appeared too often, cutting corners again. Nathan knew he was crossing a line. Judges weren't investigators, but he also knew injustice when he saw it. The next day, he called for a closed-door session. "Detective Laird," he said as the officer took the stand, "you conducted this arrest personally." "Yes, Your Honor," Laird replied confidently. "Was there any recording of the arrest?" Laird shifted. My body cam malfunctioned that day." "Convenient," Nathan said dryly. "And this evidence, the wallet, was it found on Ms. Davis or near her?" "On her, sir." Nathan flipped to the evidence log. "Funny. The log says it was recovered in her car, not on her person." "Care to explain the discrepancy?" The courtroom fell silent. Laird stammered. "Must be a clerical error." Nathan leaned forward, his voice cold. "You've had a lot of clerical errors in your past reports, haven't you, detective?" Laird swallowed hard. Nathan's gaze burned through him. "You may step down." He turned to Emma's lawyer. "I strongly advise the defense to review new evidence. Court will recess for 24 hours. When everyone left, Emma lingered, glancing back. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Nathan looked at her, his voice barely audible. "Because once, a long time ago, someone stood up for me when no one else did." Her lip trembled, but she said nothing. That evening, Nathan went home to his son. Ethan was sitting at the table, drawing soldiers with crayons. "Dad, you look sad," the boy said. Nathan smiled faintly. "Just a hard day, buddy." Ethan tilted his head. "Did someone do something bad?" "Maybe," Nathan said softly. "But sometimes people do bad things for reasons we don't understand." Ethan nodded, thoughtful. "Then you should help them. Like you helped me when I got in trouble at school." Nathan froze. Out of the mouths of children. The next day, new information arrived. An anonymous envelope slid under his office door. Inside was a flash drive. When he played it, his blood ran cold. It was the missing security footage. And there, clear as day, was the real robber, Emma's boyfriend, not Emma. He stormed into the store, waving a gun, while Emma waited in the car, visibly crying. The timestamp matched perfectly. Nathan immediately called a private meeting with the district attorney. "If this is genuine," the DA said, "watching the footage, the case falls apart. We'll have to dismiss the charges." But Nathan wasn't done. "I want an investigation into Detective Laird. If he suppressed this footage, he's guilty of evidence tampering." The DA nodded grimly. The next morning, the courtroom was packed again. Reporters buzzed. The tension was electric. Nathan entered, robes flowing, face unreadable. Before proceeding, he began, "The court has received new evidence submitted anonymously. After verification, it has been confirmed authentic." The footage played on the screen. Gasps filled the room. Emma covered her mouth, sobbing. The real perpetrator's face was unmistakable. Nathan's voice carried through the silence like a gavel strike. "This court finds insufficient evidence to convict Ms. Davis. Charges are hereby dismissed." The courtroom erupted, half in applause, half in shock. Emma collapsed into tears as the bailiff removed her cuffs. But Nathan wasn't finished. "Furthermore," he continued, "I am ordering a formal inquiry into Detective Mark Laird's conduct in this case." Laird's face went pale. He tried to speak, but Nathan's gavel silenced him. "Justice," Nathan said firmly, "is not a game of convenience." After the session, Emma waited outside the courthouse. When Nathan emerged, the crowd's noise faded around them. "I don't know how to thank you," she said, tears streaking her cheeks. "You don't have to," Nathan replied quietly. "Just take care of your daughter. She would love to meet you," Emma whispered. "I've told her stories about when I was young, about the boy who always stood up for me." Nathan smiled faintly. "Maybe someday." He started to walk away, but Emma called after him. "Nathan, why did you really help me?" He turned back, eyes soft. "Because the world forgot who you were." "I didn't." Weeks passed. The inquiry against Laird exploded into scandal. Several of his past convictions were overturned, revealing years of corruption. The media hailed Nathan as a symbol of integrity, but he avoided interviews, retreating into his quiet life. One afternoon, there was a knock at his door. Ethan opened it, and there stood Emma, holding a little girl with bright blue eyes. "Judge Cole," Emma said shyly, "this is Lily." Nathan smiled gently. "Please, just Nathan." Lily grinned. Mom says you're a hero. Nathan laughed softly. Your mom gives me too much credit. Emma shook her head. No, you gave me my life back. They sat together on the porch while their kids played in the yard. The sun dipped low, casting golden light over everything. For the first time in years, Nathan felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel since the war: peace. Emma looked at him. You know, she said quietly, you've always been saving people. Even when you didn't have to. Nathan chuckled. Maybe that's all I know how to do. She smiled. Maybe that's enough. As laughter echoed from the yard, Nathan looked out at the horizon, where the sun met the earth. He thought of the years he'd spent in battle, both on the battlefield and in courtrooms, and how sometimes, justice wasn't about punishment at all. Sometimes it was about remembering humanity. And in that moment, watching two children chase fireflies in the dusk, he realized something else too. Sometimes the people we're meant to save are the ones who once saved us. The world would talk for weeks about the case that shocked everyone, the day a veteran judge freed a childhood friend, and the corruption it exposed. But for Nathan, it wasn't about the headlines. It was about coming full circle. It was about forgiveness, redemption, and the quiet victory of two souls who had once promised to never give up on each other. And as the last light faded, Nathan whispered a silent vow to the evening sky, to never let justice forget mercy.